Hello, my name is Emily Dick.
And my name is Aileen Torres.
Today we are going to be discussing two major artworks from different time periods of European art.
Many of the artistic pieces from the history of Western art are still affecting us today and influence both art and architecture, both of which we will be discussing in this video.
The first work we're going to be looking at today is a great work of architecture done in the late Gothic style. This building is the Cathedral of St. Mary of the Flower, or Cattedrale Santa Maria del Fiore in Italian, and it is located in Florence, Italy. The cathedral is the largest in Florence and dominates the skyline, measuring 150 meters long, 90 meters wide in the main section, and 114.5 meters tall. The church follows a cross-shaped floor plan, and the construction began under the plans of Arnolfo di Cambio in 1296, following the late Gothic style. This style is particularly Italian in Florence, and it takes on a bit of a different look than a lot of the Gothic style that you see in other cathedrals in Europe, particularly characterized by large stripes of white, pink, and green marble, which you can see in several other churches in Florence, like Santa Croce and Santa Maria Novella. Arnolfo began building of the two sides of the cathedral, following a more traditional Gothic style with rich, heavy ornamentation and tiny windows. Throughout the rest of the construction, however, the plans got thrown into the hands of several different master builders and committees, resulting in a larger, less Gothic-style cathedral than Arnolfo had originally designed. The church was not structurally completed until 1436 with the construction of the dome. The inside is dominated by powerful, heavy columns, employing the use of vertical lines to draw the viewer's eye upwards. The construction of the interior has both Gothic and classical influence, resulting in an almost empty, sparse look in comparison to the grandeur of the outside. Overall, the cathedral has a very large importance to the city of Florence and the people that live in it, as well as tourists. There's a large tourist section surrounding the Duomo of Florence, and there's even a museum on site where people can go and look at pieces of art that used to be inside or on the outside of the church. The next work we're going to be looking at is a piece of sculpture that has a very classical feel to it from the Roman art period, and it's called The Three Graces.
The name of this next art piece is called The Three Chairs or Three Graces, also known as Les Trois Grâces. The museum it is found in is the Louvre in Paris. The material it's made out of is marble. In this specific sculpture, we are seeing the Roman copy of a Greek statue made by Nicholas Corder. The style it's in is Hellenistic, and the period is Imperial Roman. In this sculpture, we see the three graces dance naked in a circle, each resting a hand on the shoulder of another. Their robes are draped over a pair of vases standing to either side of them. Homer wrote that they were part of a retinue of Aphrodite, that is, a body of persons retained in service of a noble or royal personage, so someone that follows and works for someone powerful or important. The three graces are among the most consistently rendered motifs of the Roman world. The group of three nude embracing women is extant in statuary and numerous two-dimensional art forms, but all adhere to a basic formula of pose, appearance, figural type, and composition with only minor variations. Worshipped as minor goddesses, the charities were represented according to local desires and traditions and did not adhere to a widespread cultural or artistic standard. As we will show, there are many different replicas of the sculpture of the Three Graces because scholars are not sure whether the Greek original was painted or sculpted, but most believe that it was a sculpture. Jane Francis says in her book, The Three Graces, Composition and Meaning in Roman Context, that these efforts use the extant replicas specifically to identify or recreate the lost Greek original. But this approach has not reached definitive, provable conclusions and has furthermore provided little insight into the Roman versions of the Graces, except as pale echoes of an earlier prototype. In this picture, we find a sculpture at the Met Museum. It has a lot of the same attributes, such as being in the imperial period, having Roman culture, being made out of marble, but as you can see, the Grace's body is almost identical as the one found in the Louvre, but with one exception that they have no heads. In the description of the sculpture, it says, "The Three Graces, Agalia, the grace of beauty, Eryphrosyne, the grace of mirth, and Thalia, the grace of abundance. They bestow what is most pleasurable and beneficent in nature and society, fertility and growth, beauty in the arts, and harmonious reciprocity between men." As you can see, this one has specific names to these graces and have a specific role that they played for the people there. It also says that in mythology, they play an attendant role, creating festivals and organizing dances. Their closest connection is with Aphrodite, whom they serve as handmaidens. There are at least 16 large-scale statuary examples of the three, all which date to the Roman period. The Three Graces are fairly consistent. Three nude women stand upright beside one another. The two figures on the ends, A and C, face the same direction, with the central grace, B, is turned in the opposite direction. In researching this art piece, it was interesting to find the different sculptures that different artists made in the Roman period to try and recreate or design a slightly different version of this popular sculpture of the Three Graces.